Okay, so today we're also going to continue with lesson 4 or section 4. We are going to be factoring trinomials at the end of section 4. Today we're only going to focus on the easier trinomials where the leading coefficient is a 1 or our a value is equal to 1. So the perfect square trinomial, this formula, we will focus on this on Wednesday. Okay, again, factoring of the trinomials will not be on the quiz tomorrow, but in order to finish up this lesson on Wednesday, I need to introduce this to you today. So always, 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 no matter what type of factoring you're doing, you should always look for a GCF first, okay? Whether it's a binomial or a trinomial or any type of polynomial, 4 terms, look for a GCF first. And then from there, see if it's one of your special cases. If not, then we're just going to look for the factors of the last number. So always remember, after factoring these trinomials, we can multiply our answer to check it. So all of these answers are going to result in 2 binomials. So we're going to be able to FOIL them to make sure it goes back to our original question. Remember, after factoring anything, you can multiply it or distribute it back, and it should go back to your original question. So here are our examples we're going to do. Notice all of these do not have a number in front of the x squared term. So remember, if there is not a number there, you assume there's a 1. So all of the trinomials here have a leading coefficient of 1 or the a is equal to 1. Back in Algebra 1, you learned standard form of a quadratic, and it was ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is the number that was in front of x squared, b is the number in front of x, and c was just your constant. When we're factoring these trinomials that have an a equal to 1, we're going to be looking at our c term. So our last term here, and we're going to list the factors of that number. So we're going to look for all the ways to multiply to get a 4. So I know that I can multiply 1 times 4, 2 times 2. I could also do -1 times -4. All 3 of these, when I multiply them, they all give me +4. When we're factoring the trinomials, once we list the factors of that last term, we also have to look to see which one of those will also add to give me the middle term. So out of these 3 choices, which one, when I add them, will give me 5? The first one, the second one, or the last one? Kimberly? The first one, because when I add 1 plus 4, it's 5. 2 plus 2 is 4. And -1 plus -4 gives me -5. So the factors that I'm going to use are +1 and +4. When it's the easy trinomials like this, it's going straight into our 2 binomials. So I take the term that's here, I square root it, it's x times x would give me x squared, and then the 2 factors. Now remember, once you think you have your 2 binomials, FOIL it. X times x is x squared. Outside, 4x, inside 1x, and last +4. Group the middles, and it does indeed go back to what I started with. So the 2 binomials that I thought were my answer, the x plus 1 and the x plus 4, that is the correct answer. Okay, the next one. I'm looking for factors of 8 that will give me 9. So x, so I could do 1 times 8. So what I sometimes will do is, let me erase some of this. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me 8, but the same two numbers that when I add them give me 9. So the ways that I can multiply to get an 8 are either going to be 1 times 8, 2 times 4. I can also do -1 times -8 and -2 times -4, but notice my signs are plus plus. So that automatically tells me the signs of my binomial are going to be positive, positive. So the only one out of these two that will work are going to be 1 times 8 and then 1 plus 8. So put a 1, put in 8. The order that you write them doesn't matter. So you could put the x plus 8 first or the x plus 1. Doesn't matter. With me so far? These are the easy trinomials. Notice this time, my last term is still positive. Remember, in order to multiply to get a positive number, my signs need to be the same. So in this case, that middle term will tell me what the signs on my numbers need to be. So because my middle term is negative, my signs need to both be negative. So let's list the factors of 16. So 1 times 16, and both of them being negative. So notice when you add those two, I get -17. It's not what I'm looking for. Then if I do -2 times -8 gives me the positive 16, but when I add them, I also get that -10 that I was trying to get. So x minus 2, x minus 8. Again, FOIL it. It's going to save so many of your answers if you've got the wrong factors or the wrong signs. So x squared, outside. Essentially, the key thing we should be focusing on is the outside and the inside. So once I add those outside and insides, I do get the -10x, and the x squared and the 16 were already set. So it worked. So x minus 2, x minus 8. Next one, factors of 39. That will give me -16. So two numbers to multiply to give you 39, but who will also add to give you -16. Okay, so here, 1 times 39, and they're both going to be negative. Notice when you add those two, you get -40. That's not working for me. 2 can't go into 39 evenly, but 3 will. 3 times 13.
Pardon the interruption, Jack Rivera.
3 times -13 gives me the positive 39 I need, but when I add them, I also get the -16. So x minus 3, x minus 13. And I'm done. And again, FOIL it to check. Next one. Now we're doing a little different. Now the last term's negative. What two types of numbers do I need to multiply to get a negative number? A positive and a negative. So my signs need to be different here. So when I'm listing factors of -4, it's going to be -1 times +4, or 1 times -4, or 2 times -2, like that. Now, the key thing to look at is that middle term. Notice the middle term has a negative sign. That's going to tell me that my bigger factor should be the negative number. But watch what happens when I try to add these pairs. This one, when I add it, what do you get? What's -1 plus 4? 3. I'm trying to get a -6. When I add these, what do I get? -3. What about this one? Did any of them work? Nope. So when none of the factors will work, you're going to write the word prime. Sometimes it won't factor. Okay, so for number 6, I've got to list all the factors of 24, actually negative 24. This one's got quite a few. So I know that 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, yes. All right, what's the next one? And 4 times 6. Okay, now notice I'm trying to make a negative 24. So one of my factors needs to be negative. And the way that I know which one to put the negative sign on is I'm going to look at my sign in my middle. See how it's positive? So that tells me the negative's going on the little number, because the bigger number needs to be positive. So now that I have my 4 factors, I need to find which one is going to add up to be a 5. Which one of those 4, when I add them, give me 5?
I just have a question.
Yes.
Does it matter which negative sign you put on the side, or?
It matters which number it goes on. So like, for example, so let's say you did over here and you did 1, 24, 2, and 12, and 3, and 8, and 4, and 6. So let's say you put it over here now, just to cover all your bases. So when I add this one, what do I get? I get 23, right? Okay, when I add this one, I get 10. But over here, if I were to add them, I get a negative 10. So it matters where you put the negative sign. So for this one, I can see the ones that I need to focus on are these 2. But this is the one that'll give me positive 5, because this side gives me negative 5. So my answer here is going to be X, or A, it's the letter A now, A minus 3 and A plus 8. So the signs do matter. And the way that you can save yourself is FOIL that thing. And that'll catch if you didn't put the sign on the right number. But my trick is the middle sign, see how it's positive? My bigger number is the positive of my 2 factors. So whatever sign's in the middle, that's going to be the sign on your bigger factor. Okay, next one. I'm looking for factors of negative 63 that when I add them, I get negative 2. Okay, 9 and 7 I heard, right? And which one's negative? The 9. Good. Because when you add them, I do get negative 2. Notice this one's a little different. It's got a y squared there. But I'm still focusing first on the number part. So then I'll just do x plus 7. And then to take care of the y squared, I put a y there. And then x minus 9y. And again, you can FOIL it to double check that it does go back. And it does. And then the last one for today, because we'll finish the harder trinomials on Wednesday. This one I'm looking for factors of negative 48 that will give me negative 13. Now there's quite a few factors of 48. You already know what they are? What is it going to be?
Negative 16 and 3.
Negative 16, positive 3. Beautiful. So A minus 16, and don't forget about the B, and then A plus 3. And again, you could put the A plus 3B first and the A minus 16B second. It doesn't matter. So on Wednesday, we're going to continue with these same notes. That's the end of the simple trinomials. Again, we'll continue with these notes Wednesday. The homework that's at the end of these notes, that's Wednesday night's homework. Your homework tonight, God bless you, is to study. Study for the quiz. Memorize the patterns, especially the cubes. Go back, redo homework problems, redo the note problems, redo the ones that we just did in class. Again, what we just covered now, these trinomials, will not be on the quiz tomorrow. This will be on your test. The second page here, now we have a number in front of x squared. These are the harder ones. We're going to cover this on Wednesday. So